Shalom, shalom. You know, in the ancient Hebrew, 9 carries such meaning and such value. I've been in a season of reflection because we're 9 years in business as of April, which is also the season of Passover. We're coming into Shavuot soon. But, you know, keeping the feast outside of America, keeping these Shabbats outside of America, being of the chosen seed, and coming into covenant with the Most High through the covenant of Abraham, through the blood of Yahusha, has opened up just so much. But in this season, I've been reflecting. And so the Most High, He's just urging me in the spirit. He's like, this ninth year is something more than what you're seeing. Dig into this, look in the Hebrew, look and see what 9 actually represents. And I want to share that with you. Because in the ancient world, 9 symbolized the time of gestation, the birth of divine things, which is exactly what we've been experiencing. And I know if you are also in that chosen seed alignment, you're experiencing this as well. You will have had an increase that seemed like out of nowhere, but it's not increase that's out of nowhere. It's familiar increase, meaning retention, loyalty, a strengthening of ties, but also a breaking up of relationships and fake relationships that were not legitimate or real in the first place, okay? Now, think about this. We have 9 months in the womb. I have my notes here. 9 fruits of the Spirit, and there were 9 gates in the temple. And you should also know that at the 9th hour is when Yahusha gave up his spirit, okay? Yah does not rush purpose, he plants it, and then he hides it to mature it in silence. Psalms 139:15 says, you knit me together in the secret place. The secret place is the TET season. When I'm talking about TET, I'm talking about the 9th Hebrew letter, TET, which represents 9 in the spirit, okay? The secret place is in the TET. It's where you're pruned, refined, prepared, and it's divine protection. He hides what he loves until it can withstand his glory, okay? This is such a deep message because this has literally been like the testimony of our life, but it gets even deeper, okay? A lot of times when you are in the 9th season, you are being prepared, just like when Yahusha was crucified in the 9th hour. That was not even the fullness of his glory, but it was a time that he knew, like he was prepared for that time. That wasn't even the fullness of his glory. Again, they had him up there on the stake with these robbers, with these other people, and they're like, no, we want Barnabas. You crucify Yahusha, right? But the 9th hour was when he gave up the ghost, and that wasn't even the greatest part of his glory. The greatest part of his glory was when he went down into Sheol, or into hell, and let the set the captives free, and then resurrected, right? And so Yah builds his foundations in private. A lot of that work that Yahusha did was actually done underground in private. Like he did the ultimate work of, like, who can go into Sheol and lead captivity captive? Who can stop death like that? Only the blood of Yahusha, only the King of the universe. And I want to point out something else about Tet that is so interesting, especially for those of you who are in business and you know your business is aligned with the word, okay? This is such a rare topic. A lot of times, especially in like the Hebraic move, you know, whatever you'd like to call it, a lot of people do not want to align their business with biblical seasons and with the scriptures, but this is the biggest mistake. Let me tell you something about the Jewish people. Jewish people, everything they do, they align to Torah. Okay, like everything they do, like they build wealth from Torah principles. This is why they've been so successful. A lot of the reason is because they literally look to Torah to build principles. And it's time that we also do the same. Like, it's time that we also look and see what the Most High is trying to speak. And so this is a season where if you're hearing that still small voice, which you probably are, which is why you clicked on this video, you need to see the signs of your times and the signs of your seasons and what the Most High is doing for you and what he wants you to learn. Like, I could have received that nudging in the spirit and been like, oh, 9 years in business, that's just a coincidence, that's just whatever, I'll wait for year 10. But he's like, no, I'm trying to show you something. that is symbolic with year 9. You think year 9 is the greatest part you're at, because I've been so happy. I'm like, I'm 9 years, like I'm, in the 20% of Black women entrepreneurs who even last 9 years, and the 10% of businesses that even make it to 9 years. Like, these are all the things. And the Most High is like, no, you're actually coming into even more, but you have to be obedient and align yourself to the promise. And you can't be obedient unless you understand what season you're in. So some key concepts when we're thinking about the TET symbol, and you can look it up for yourself as well. You can get a Hebrew lexicon. You can use, you can actually do some Bible studies online with ChatGPT if that's what you want to do. There's so many ways to study the scriptures nowadays. Like, there's just no excuse, okay? And so the letter TET, value 9, it means basket, womb, hidden goodness. Now, what stuck out there for me? Hidden goodness. What have we been talking about? On the Introvert Marketer podcast, on this channel, we've been talking about humility, birthing, foundational fruits. These are all symbols of the number 9 and what it means to the Hebrew, okay? And so understand that Yahuah is exalted and he looks kindly on the lowly, but the proud he knows from afar. Psalms 138, verse 6. Elohim resists the proud, but gives favor to the humble, okay? He doesn't just dislike pride, he distances himself from it. Pride repels his presence, but humility, it creates a dwelling place. And then I was hearing this scripture, Psalms 112:3, wealth and riches are in his house, and his righteousness endures forever. Blessed is the man who fears Yah, who delights greatly in his command. I was also hearing Psalms 1, which is, blessed are they who sit not in the seat of the scornful and sit not in the counsel of the mockers, because they are planted by living waters that give its fruit in all seasons, or in due time. And so I was doing a prayer earlier, and I was thinking about how in this merger of increase that we are experiencing right now, I've worked with so many millionaire entrepreneurs, and I've also worked with smaller entrepreneurs. And I've noticed a lot of smaller entrepreneurs, before they reach multimillionaire status, they will talk about the Most High. They'll talk about God. They'll talk about, their faith in these things. But then a lot of people, besides like Myron Golden, and like, that's probably the only person I can think of. And like this podcast I listened to of this, I think he's Christian, Taylor Welsh. Besides those two people, there's not a lot of people that will actually be wildly successful and still talk about YAH and still talk about their creator. There's just not a lot of people out there that do that. Typically, or at least in the industry that I'm in marketing, business consulting, retention marketing, corporate, a lot of times people will start out that way and then they'll reach multimillionaire status, and then they're like, you don't hear anything else about faith. You don't hear anything else about anything. I've had business coaches that were like that. And it's just like, dang, I don't even know if we're in alignment anymore. Like, they just change up. And my prayer this morning was like, Father, let me not be like that. Let us never be like that. When you increase us, according to Deuteronomy 8 and 11, to give your covenant to us as you did our ancestors, as it is this day, let us not be the people that all of a sudden we're like, oh, we don't have time to worship the Most High. Oh, we don't have time to talk about him on our channel. Oh, we don't have time. Like, let that never be it. That would literally crush and bruise and break my heart, because of how good the Most High Yah has been to us. And I never want to forget that. This is why he's always trying to remind his people of the wilderness. This is why he's always telling his people, do not complain, because complaints pervert praise. Yes, complaints pervert praise. Yah, the Most High Yah, is due the ultimate praise every single day, whether you feel like it or not. And that doesn't mean singing at the top of your lungs. That doesn't mean dancing all the time. That doesn't mean, whatever entertainment style thing it looks like for a lot of people in the church and Western society in America. But praise is a heart posture. Worship is a heart posture. Worship is, you are worthy to be venerated. You are worthy of me not having an attitude. You are worthy of me not accusing, not complaining, not putting idolatry before you. You are worthy of the full surrender, okay? And so this is the part where it's like there's such a divide going out in the earth right now. I see it in like everything. It doesn't matter what industry, what area of the earth, what people it is. There is a spirit of confusion and slumber that has gone out on the entire face of the planet. There are people that are experiencing their last seasons in their right minds before the Most High hands them over to a spirit of insanity. There are people out there right now that are experiencing their last days in their right minds, but the Most High will give them over to a reprobate mind. Why? Because they do not have a love for the truth. Okay? Now, Romans 9 is coming in my ear now. I got to check out Romans 9. You know, I said, Father, you must want me to be controversial this evening, because I go to Romans 9. And let me tell you what pops up when I go to Romans 9. It's controversial, especially in these times when there's like this movement of like black fatigue, these movements of like different supremacist groups. But what the Most High has been speaking to me is not a popular message. And I can't even apologize for it, because I would never apologize for having the spirit of truth. But what he's been speaking to me is this radical accountability that's necessary in Black America. Okay. And Romans 9, I'm so like, wow, he really just whispered that in my ear, and this is just, it just is what it is. Here's what it says. It's about Paul's heartbreak for his people. And Paul basically says, I have great sorrow and unceasing anguish in my heart for my brothers, those of my own race, the people of Yasharel, who were given the adoption, the covenants, the Torah, the promises, the patriarchs, and the Messiah according to the flesh. Okay. But he says not all Yasharel is Yasharel. Not all of his people are his people, meaning all of his people by blood are not his actual people. For not all who are descended from Israel are Israel. And he said again later in the verse, Jacob I have loved, but Esau I have hated. And so then the question pops up, is Elohim unjust? Is Yah not just? No, Yah is sovereign. Yah is just. Yah is everything. He is every good thing. But at the same time, Yah says, I will have mercy on those who I have mercy on, and I will curse those who I desire to curse. And that goes back, I think, to Numbers. And so this is so interesting, just reading Romans 9 together with you right now. And so it's like, shall what is formed say to the one who formed it, why did you make me like this? No, you can't say that. And if you do, you're not that wise. Though the number of Yasharel be like the sands of the sea, only a remnant shall be saved, which is a quote from the book of Isaiah. So key takeaways for that chapter. Yah's promises to Israel are real, but they move through obedient faith, not just lineage. Covenant identity comes over ethnic identity. Yah chooses people and paths for his glory, not human reasoning. I love that. That's like my favorite. The remnant will always carry the promise going forward, and Yahusha is the dividing line between those who believe and become heirs and those who don't. Okay. And it's like this symbolism of the number 9, the 9th year, all of these things I'm seeing. Obviously, I'm a mother. I've given birth to children and have been 9 months pregnant 5 different times and know what it's like in that 9th month. When you're carrying something so big and you're so happy to get to that point, and then the Most High is like, yeah, you still got to give birth to the ultimate gift. You still have to actually go through the labor and receive that gift and that blessing, which is the season that you may be in right now, which is a season that we are excited to be experiencing right now. And it's a season to be happy for, and at the same time have the ability to discern those around you, because not all of our people who say they are our people, which is why the covenants and the Torah and the commands had to go to Gentile nations, and will stay like that until the time of his return, because not all of his people are his people. Again, there is a spirit that has gone out on the earth where what you see today, May 16th of 2025, there are people that will literally lose it, and we're going to see it on a public stage. There are people that will lose their minds by the end of this year. I've seen it happen time and time again. It's like the further along you get into the truth, people will fall away. The further along you get into the truth, people will just lose their minds. Like actually insane. Some people are already actively insane, believing that they are doing the work of Yah. You know, I actually have another story, it's not necessarily a testimony, but it's a story from when I worked in mental health care. This was about 12 years ago, okay? I was working in a mental hospital. It was before I started my business. My business started 9 years ago. This was about 12 years ago. And so in this mental institution based in Ohio, we had this lady come in. And I just love spiritual warfare. I really do. It's so interesting. And so this lady comes in. Now, this is when I'm just getting into the truth. I'm obviously not as well versed in the spirit as I am now. But this white lady comes in, and she's different than a lot of the patients. Now, the patients, they would typically, be very angry their first time coming in. Then they give them sedatives and all these things. But she was a little bit different. She had these altars that were in her home. They like took pictures of the altars. There were altars all around her home of herself, I guess. And then when she came into the hospital, she would repeatedly say this, and this is something that you want to look out for. She would function and deceive as if she had some type of spirit of religion that was on her. But understand that it's just a spirit of religion. Like, it's just a spirit of self-righteousness. It's a spirit of almost mockery of Yahusha, okay? And so she would come in there. She would stay up all night. She would be asleep during the day. Maybe that's another pattern. But she would come in, and all night she would be awake. She would bang on the doors, and she would say, "I am Jesus Christ." And she would run around the mental hospital doing this. Every worker in there was afraid of her. Every nurse was afraid of her. They would always call me because I'm just generally not afraid of people like that. Okay, and so they would call me, try to calm her down. But it got to the point where, if you've ever worked in mental health care, you know that you actually have to restrain patients a lot of the time. And so I would be the one to help lead that process. But there was this spirit, almost perhaps maybe of divination, or some type of spirit of an antichrist, or maybe it was a lot of things, because you have this legion, right? And so she would just believe that she's Jesus Christ, whatever the spirit was. And you could see in her eyeballs that she would switch out from being herself and then being someone else. If you discern spirits, then you know that moment when somebody like flips, you see the switch in their eyes, and then you'll see their face expressions change as well. They may appear more like angry, and their lips may tremble a little bit, or they'll just have this different presence about them. Leave a comment down below if you know what I'm talking about. And so she would go through this process. I'm telling you, every single night. I worked on night shift. Every single night they would report to us. In the daytime, she was acting all fine. She was acting cool. She was acting like everything was all good. But at nighttime, she thought she was Jesus Christ. At nighttime, she thought she was the Messiah. And at the same time, while saying this, she would then go on to blaspheme his name. She would then go on to say just these horrendous, crazy things, throwing accusations out there, just crazy things, like insane things. And so we are in and I'm so glad I had that experience to work in mental health, because now I know the patterns. And you need to understand these patterns too as you're going out into the world, because I'm telling you, there are more people that are going to have this spirit and put on this spirit than ever before. There are people that are going to think that they are functioning as some type of Messiah. They're functioning as somebody that's helping the body, and then they completely snap and lose it. And they're the type of people, in the daytime, they're going to seem a different way. Then in the nighttime, they're going to be a totally different way. Then, on this day, they're going to be a certain way. Then another day, they're going to be a totally different way. But don't let these things deter you. If it's somebody close to you that wants deliverance, and you know how to go through that process, or some type of pastor or deliverance minister that can help them, get them that help they need. But simultaneously, do not let these things deter you, because we are in the 9th season. We are in the 9th hour. We are in the time where the Most High wants to prepare his glory to come down to earth, and to come down on those of the chosen seed, not by lineage. He has a chosen seed of all nations. Understand that. Understand that there are people that walk in the fruits of the Spirit that do not look like you. And you could be close to losing your place if you run out and put false accusations on those who the Most High loves and chooses, okay? Especially if you have some type of weird race thing with other nations, especially if you have some kind of weird issue with accountability in your own community. And that's why I said this is like controversial. People don't like to hear this in the community. People like to hear, oh, we've been enslaved forever. And, it's like there's just too much wrong in the community. There's way too much wrong in the community to be pretending like everything's all good. This is the reason that we left America behind, for that exact reason. We left all of those mindsets behind, because Black America is at a time where it's like, It won't really be a thing anymore in the next 100 years. It just won't, like, the numbers aren't there. We don't have enough people to replace our populations in America. We don't have enough people who are married. We don't have enough children who are making it outside of the womb and not being aborted. These are things that need to be talked about. These are the ninth hour things that the chosen ones are going to have to speak on and going to have to call out and going to have to stand on truth before they enter into the promise. And a lot of us that are the elect and a lot of us who are chosen are being pulled out of that system to move to Africa or to move to Asia. Because the Most High is saying, I am shifting my glory somewhere else. He's saying, I'm shifting my glory elsewhere on those who used to be the most oppressed of the earth. Now he's saying, I'm returning to Africa. I'm returning to parts of Asia. And he's going to have his revival, and he's going to have his way. And he's going to have his way in the ninth hour, okay? This is a time of birth, of coming to fruition. This is a time where the Most High is calling his people to stand on the truth in boldness. Something that's so beautiful about the prophet Jeremiah, the prophet Isaiah, they were never afraid of people. It did not matter what false accusation it was. It did not matter if they had a message that, they knew their people were not going to like. They were going to speak that message. Period. This is that time. And this is why the Most High is going to raise you up in your humility. He's going to raise you up because you were willing to speak his words in the acceptable time, in his set apart time frame, and you were willing to be humble while doing it. Meaning, being humble not in the sense of like, oh, I'm not going to say anything, but being humble as in, I'm going to say what's needed in the right context, in the right season, and let Yah get the glory, and not be too much public facing, not be too much in this person's face, not be too much wanting all of the vain glory and all these things, but being humble in the spirit and allowing Yah to have full reign, so that when you give him full reign, then he can glorify you through his own praise. Because he also wants to share his glory with his people. That's the whole reason that the Most High even has a chosen people. That's the whole reason, because he does want to share his glory, and he does want to make his glory manifest through those who he chooses in the physical. And so that is what I have for you this evening. I know that was long. It started out really focused on business, but I'm telling you, business and the spirit realm are very much closely aligned. And the quicker that you understand this, the easier your life is going to be. I understood that at a very early age, because when I was in business, I actually prayed to the Most High for my specific business, and he gave me the blueprint. And this is the way that it should properly and functionally be done, so that when people come to you, there's nothing else to say. It's just, this is how it is, because this is what the Most High has given me. And then when you get that increase, that exponential increase I'm telling you about, that I've experienced, is like, I'm telling you, I live in Mauritius, and I never would have thought we'd live here. I've worked with multi-million-dollar companies I could have never even dreamed of working with. Like, I didn't even have these companies down on my list of companies, on my lists of companies to work with. Like, that supernatural, exponential increase that the Most High gives you. And so this is hugely based on obedience, though. We like to toy around with like just favor, and just like, oh, it just fell in your lap. And yes, favor to an extent, but the word still says obedience is better than sacrifice, and to heed, to listen and do, than the fat of rams. And so there is a piece of obedience and mercy that goes in together in your business, in your walk in entrepreneurship, in your walk outside of America, and your walk all over the world. And I want to bring this precedence back into entrepreneurship, because it's missing. I'm telling you. Again, I only know like two off the top of my head, Myron Golden and like Taylor Welsh. Entrepreneurs, very, very successful, multi-millionaires. They even talk about YAH still. I'm telling you, most people, they'll hang up YAH like he's a towel to dry after they get to where they want to be. And I think it's so sad, and I think it's something that people are going to regret. And I think also, when we were talking about the second phase of the video, where we're talking about people that will be losing their minds, I think that's also something to be praying for the body, praying that people would have a spirit of mercy on them, that they would have a spirit of repentance about them, because it is a sad thing to watch somebody lose their mind. It's a very sad thing. That's why the scripture says, do not curse your enemies, but pray for them. You get to be kingdom minded and act in the function and the mindset of Yahusha. Let this mind be in you that was also in Yahusha, the Messiah. You get to act in that function when you understand and see things the way he sees them. When you see, oh, if this person continues on this path, their prayers aren't ever going to be heard. You know, that's nothing to toy around with. That's nothing to play with. But it also gives those of you who are chosen a sense of peace and knowing, you know, you are in the right standing, you are in the right ruling with Yah. And at the end of the day, as Sarah said to Abraham, let the Most High Yah judge between you and me. When it gets down to that, even Abraham said, you know what? You do what you choose. Yes, he was the head of the house, he was the leader, all that. But when it came to Sarah praying to the Most High, because the Most High heard Sarah's prayers, he was like, look, you do whatever you want. Once you say those words, I already know, look, you do whatever you want. To that bondswoman, do whatever you want. Because Abraham stood, the prayers of the righteous avails much. Abraham understood the times and the seasons of judgment. And so I'm telling you, we are on earth, and I don't know if it's just a Western society thing. No, it's probably like a whole world thing. I'm telling you, you are going to see people lose their minds on this here app, lose their minds on Facebook. There are going to be more mental breakdowns than ever before, especially in the Black community, because judgment starts in the house of Yahshua. Shalom, shalom. I'll see you in the next video. Be blessed. And definitely check out Romans 9. Definitely check out all the scriptures we talked about just now. We were at like Psalms 138, verse 6, James 4:6. We were talking about the symbol TET, which is the basket, womb, the hidden goodness. Be the hidden goodness in the season. It's better to be the hidden goodness. And then people figure out like, oh, wow. Or at least that's my testimony in my business. Like, oh my gosh, we need to keep you on retainer for multiple years. You want to be the hidden goodness rather than being the vanity focused thing that is so outward and public and just vanity focused and then doesn't have any good on the inside. You don't want to be like that, especially in business, You want people to, how do I want to put it? Not just understand you. You want people to not realize the value that you bring until you bring it and then you knock it out the park. You don't want people to hype you up too much and then you're not able to deliver on those promises. That's what I'm getting to. Shalom, shalom. I'll see you in the next video. Shabbat shalom. Have a blessed evening. Have a blessed prep day.